a limited income and da da da,
You got enough on your plate.
Right, right. And I'm like, I don't got time to be dropping money on stuff that's not really like important. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I had a crappy car at the time that's always breaking down. And I got to pay for this and all that stuff, right? So she was like, no, go on Amazon. There is a self-publishing. You don't have to put any money towards publishing a book. The website will take their royalties out of how many books you make and everything. And I was like, what? So started typing up everything, uploading it, creating the covers and everything, and it just took off from there.
So who did the artwork?
Yes, he's gonna kill me because I can't skip over the illustrator. He's Philly based. Reggie Byers, who is so amazing. He's been doing comic book work, illustration work for like 35 years. And we have such a special connection when it comes to, I guess because the way he told me was I was just so passionate about how I was describing these characters. And I was like, Echo Boy's easy. I can send you a picture of Levi and his favorite color's blue, and just make sure he has goggles on top of his head because he didn't like anything on his face. So I just wanted to be as authentic as possible with Levi. And then I said, as far as the sidekick, I said I want her to be a black little girl because we don't see enough black little girls in any type of media, especially one with a disability. And she's a superhero and she loves the alphabet. So like I wanted to tie in like literacy and all. Like I drop a lot of small jewels in the book once I start explaining other things. And like parents would be like, oh, wow. Like I said, yeah, because I didn't want to be preachy in the book. But if you ever ask me questions about the book, I'll explain like more in detail. More in detail. Yeah. But
it's those subconscious little nuggets of knowledge that people, when they, especially kids soak up everything like sponges,
right.
Right. So when they see that, or if they read this book with their parent, that one, you're teaching an adult like me, and two, you're teaching the kid to accept that, look, there's other kids that you may think are different from you because they are in a sense, but that doesn't mean that they're bad or you need to treat them any type of way.
Right. And I was able to debut the book for the first time in Camden last year at the Children's Book Festival.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So Camden does a street festival every year. Unfortunately, COVID, so it was canceled this year, but we'll be back next year, hopefully with more books. And if you're in the area, please come through and support.
Well, I'll definitely put that on the calendar.
Yeah.
It's a year in advance, so I'm sure I can make it.
Yeah. And it's always in September, so, the weather's perfect. It's not like muggy and nasty, But last year I was nervous because in the book I'm talking about the reason why the kid is bullying the other kid. And the reason is his parents are going through a divorce. I didn't want to like dumb down bullying, but there's always reasons why kids react and treat other kids.
Yeah, what is it? The old saying, hurt people hurt people.
Right. Exactly. And I remember the when I was writing the manuscript, and I always let like at least 3 or 4 people read it before I edit it, because I'll edit it like at least 3 or 4 times before I send it to print. And that was even before I even hooked up with Reggie. Like my poetry books, I'll go through it, like I'll keep reading it and reading it and reading it, and I'm like, oh, I forgot a period. How did I misspell that word?
and editors cost money, so you
so like no, I will do it myself. I'm like, I'm not paying nobody else. It's already enough just illustration work as it is. But so one person was like, I don't know, I really think you should take out that part about the kid's parents going through a divorce. I said, why? I said, kids don't have parents that's going through a divorce.
Especially inner city kids, like that's
right. Like there's not kids who don't have, like not everybody has a 2-parent household. And this is the other problem that I find with how adults treat kids is you can't talk to them like they're stupid. They're sponges. So they're very, especially now, like this generation of kids coming, they're very much aware
with the smartphones, with just the access
because you add
to
social media to stuff, they're very much aware of what's going on in their community, in the world.
It's funny you say that because growing up, I had one of my aunts is gay.
Okay.
And growing up, my family and my aunt herself did everything in their power to kind of like downplay the fact that she was gay.
Okay.
And my cousin's like a few months older than I was, and we knew like my aunt always had a girlfriend.
Right.
we always go to her house. Her girlfriend was always there. It was a great time. We didn't love her any less.
Right.
And the minute I remember, like, they told us, like, yeah, your aunt is, like, what, she likes girls? Like, it ain't a big deal. This ain't what you thought this was a secret. It's not a shocking fact that you guys are sharing with us right now. So, yeah, things like that. Kids catch on really fast.
Absolutely. So, I always appreciate people's opinions, and I respect people's opinions. But if I stand firm in something that I know is going to help and benefit in any small way, then I'm like, it needs to be in there. You got to be sometimes unapologetically honest sometimes, even in children's books.
Well, we just talked about this when I was getting the third mic set up. People love authenticity. Right. The fact that your son's here and he's talking on the mic, whether or not he wants to or not, but people are hearing that, and they can see, like, oh, you are who you say you are. You're a single mom. You have your son, because I'm sure nobody could watch him right now, or whatever the case is, you know?
Right.
And people like that. People like that they can relate, or they get, enough bullshit on the TV and lied to enough, through.
Yeah, we see a lot of commercialized,
exactly.
pandering. Like, okay,
pandering.
Like, I feel sorry for the kid, but they live in this big house in the suburbs. I'm pretty sure they're not hurting for money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that leads into what really kind of changed my focus as an author to being an activist was when I was in Camden, and anyone that lives in the area and is familiar with Camden, like, Camden's pretty much kind of like Philly. It's like mirrored. They're just on the other side of the river.
Yeah, it's the Philly of Jersey.
Right. They're very eclectic culturally, but it's also a disparity, same here, of a lot of low-income areas where something as simple as literacy is not accessible to these kids. And what broke my heart is, I was sitting at my table, and it seemed like kids were just attracted to what they were seeing. Like, the books they see in these superheroes. They don't even know that these kids have autism. All they see was like, oh my God, these kids got the capes. And, all they see is this, and they was getting hype. And one little girl and her sister, like, she still stays with me. And it's been like a year, but this is what kind of propelled me to want to do more than being an author. She kept coming back to the table because we were also donating books for back to school. It was like a back to school drive. So all the authors donated a book, or I forgot how they did it. Like, the kids would sign up for it, and then they got to pick which book they wanted. But unfortunately, we only could give one copy of the book. So a kid had already came and got a copy from me. But she kept coming by the table looking, and I was like, I really want to give her a book, like, just give it to her. But I was like, I don't know, like, if that's against, like, the rules of what they were doing. You know what I'm saying? Because I'll just give it to you, like, oh, here, just, because that's just me. And it just stayed with me. So after that, I was like, I really want to do something where if people can donate, I want to do like these really awesome, and it still never happened, but this is a dream of mine eventually, like
That's
doing a goal. Yeah, like a short-term goal is doing these really awesome gift packs where they get like a superhero cape, they get like a book, a coloring book, and I'll have 2 more books coming soon. I have another book that's already written. It's just for Echo Boy, and we're going to talk about his traumatic event, but not in detail, but this is going to help kids that have been through trauma. And I let a couple people read that manuscript, and a couple people cried. So I don't know, as me as the author, how I'm going to be when I read that book, because it's going to constantly remind me of some things, but I know it's going to help heal other kids, especially how this year's been going.
Yeah. One of the big things people preached a lot about, either on social media or whatever the case is, because the lockdown, it's like not only were schools a little bit of an escape for these kids, that's where they got their meals, their education, but now they're stuck at home, and sometimes that home is not a safe place the way school is.
Right, exactly. So I've already figured out pretty much my target audience and the people that I really want to help out the most, and that's really our Black and brown communities in the lower income areas. Not saying that I'm going to not help everyone else, but they're the forgotten group. Like, yeah,
they're the most underrepresented and underserved group.
Right, exactly. So, so once COVID is over, and things can kind of go back to normal and I can do like more events and get out there and like talk to people and families and kids, I definitely want to be more involved, and not just like with books. Like I want to definitely partner up with the Black Gives Back, because I love the
shout out to Black.
Yes,
Kevin Bill.
I love what they do, and I'm always watching their IG stories of like how many meals they give out to the community, and people just think like, oh, that's just giving out food, but no, you know how certain people are.
Yeah,
but like the way I look at it, like you just don't know like what's going on with people. People have lost jobs. People can't.
You mentioning that, like I just got goosebumps when I came for this last Saturday event where we passed out all the book bags. I came with Tommy, the president of Black Is Back. Before everything opened up, it was like right before 7, and we were sleeping out front, getting the tape, getting everything together, and literally heard this lady who, I don't want to prejudge, but she looked like she wasn't in the best condition. Yeah. But she's like, yo, every Saturday, I remember I was so hungry and I didn't know literally said I didn't know where my next meal was going to be, and they fed me. And I was like, yo, like, and I'm just sweeping, like, this is what they do every week. And it's like that one person, like, it doesn't matter. Just that, right. If you help one person, right, it makes a world of difference.
And that's how I kind of look at it with advocating. If it's just like one person you can influence and kind of be that source of like, wow, like just thank you. Like yesterday, like when we did the virtual event and I was talking to the ladies that organized the event, and I said, listen, even if it's just one person that signs in and they just want to listen, that's all that matters, and it turned into like a mom was on there. She almost had me crying. She was like in tears because I was telling her my story, and then her husband was overhearing the Zoom call and he was getting emotional because like where her, what she was saying was like, we are married, but I feel like he wasn't getting what I was going through emotionally as our son's mother. And I told her, I said, don't ever feel invalidated for being emotional or crying. I said, because I held in tears for years,
bottled up,
and when it finally came out, I was crying like it was almost to the point you couldn't even console me. That's how much I was crying when I eventually like let it out. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, let it out now, because the more you build it up, I said, don't do what I did. Like, don't put up a defensive mechanism and feel like, well, since no one's checking up on me, everyone thinks I'm emotionally strong, I can keep it together. You can't. It's really just impossible.
We are out of limits.
Right. And don't feed into people who get on social media and make it seem like they got it all together. No one has it together. It is all smoke and mirrors, and it's a front.
Yeah. That overnight success that people always talk about.
Oh, like, we're so happy. No, you're not.
Yeah, it takes 10 years.
You're not. You just called me saying you're not. I know you're not. You call me every other day, tell me you're not.
I'm going to ask you a very personal question.
Sure.
So with technology constantly, and getting better, some people who are pregnant can take tests to see if their child has a disability or whatever the case is. How do you feel about some of those parents who find out and either, just decide not to have the baby, or some people just don't want to know and they'll deal with it. You know what I mean? Like, what is your opinion on
well, as a woman, I'm never going to tell another woman what to do with their body, right, and what decision that they're going to make. I think it's wonderful to, if you want to know, then the earlier the better, because like I know they're trying to develop more tests while you're pregnant to see if your child has autism, but unfortunately the way autism is, you won't see signs of it until they're toddler's age. But now, like, the more I know about Levi and I go back in time when he was a baby, there were signs of it there already, and I just didn't know, like food and like being changed, like he just didn't like the baby wipes touching him, and like I'm just thinking like, oh, it's just him being a baby and like not wanting to. But I was like, no, he really was having sensory issues then. But of course, being a baby, you can't verbalize like, oh, this is too cold or this is whatever. So yeah, early interventions.
No, go ahead.
Early intervention is important, and like I said, whatever decision people want to make with their bodies, that's their decision. Right. Me, of course, I mean, it was after he was born, right, but I just know, like, even after the kid is born, you still have parents be like, they're in denial. They don't want to do